It's 9:32 here on Live Impact News. Back to school season. Can you believe it? It's happening. It's here pretty much. It does mean big spending for a lot of families and big scams, unfortunately. Juliana O'Rourke from the Better Business Bureau in the Live Impact studio this morning with tips on how families can be on the lookout as well as save money and protect their kids' information. Juliana, all right, we have a lot to get to. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
All right, so what is the first thing that families should do before they even start shopping?
Yeah, so we always just say make a list, right? Make a list, determine your budget, figure out what it is that you actually need to buy. Do you need to buy, school uniforms? Do you need to buy just supplies? Do your kids fit the things they had the year prior? Summer's for some people it's only 2 months, some people it's a little longer. And so what exactly do you really need to spend your money on? And so making that list and creating that budget before you go to the store is super helpful so that you don't get distracted down different aisles that you shouldn't be down.
Yeah, and we get carried away with looking at all the sales,
Absolutely.
right? That to pull our attention, things we don't need.
Yes.
But what advice do you have to maximize tax-free shopping?
Yeah, so if you live in an area, which North Carolina doesn't do tax-free weekends, however, South Carolina does, and it's actually coming up August 7th through 9th. And so if you can wait, or if you're available that weekend to go down into South Carolina to do your shopping, it's a tax-free weekend, which, depending on how much money you're spending, you could save a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we definitely recommend doing that. Anytime if they need laptops, tablets, certain things like that, start doing your research a little bit earlier. There are usually sales around Labor Days, different holidays. So be on the lookout for that. Compare those prices. If you're shopping online, we always give lots of tips about shopping online, making sure, if you're served an ad on social media, you hover over that before clicking on the link. Go outside of the social media ad to look online to see if you can find that same deal or discount. We know scammers really like to live on social media, and so you just want to be really careful when you're also shopping online. Remember those tips that we always talk about too.
What does the social media do when you hover your mouse around it?
Yeah, so if you hover your mouse over an ad on social media, in the bottom of the screen, it will tell you where that URL is taking you. It'll tell you what that URL is. And so it's very easy to tell, hey, if there's an ad here for a specific company and you hover over it and that URL doesn't have the name of the company in it, or it's just a bunch of letters or numbers, or it looks weird, it's probably because there's something not quite right. And so that's why we encourage people to go outside of the social media account or platform that you're in and see, hey, what can I find on the internet? What can I find through AI? Does this sale exist elsewhere? You should be able to find it.
How does bulk shopping help save money for families?
So oftentimes when you bulk shop, you can obviously save on the price per product. So if you have other, mom friends or other friends that are doing some back to school shopping, maybe you don't need obviously a huge bulk supply if you only have 1 or 2 children, but if you can go in with other people and try to save money by buying in bulk at some of these bigger retailers and shopping centers, then hey, why not?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
What should families know before they run the credit card through?
Yeah, you always want to run your credit card. It gives you a better chance of protection in the event something were to ever happen. If there were any fraud or you needed to dispute a charge, you actually have some more protection when you use a credit card versus using, a peer-to-peer payment system, a debit card. Those funds are much harder to get back. Peer-to-peer payment systems and things like that, those are considered basically cash. It's really difficult to get that back once you send it, and so always use a credit card if you can.
All right, very good. First day of school means first day of school pictures. Seems like an innocent enough task and fun thing to do, but there is a risk. What is that about?
Yeah, so we love seeing our friends' kids be posted on social media, maybe family members. You just want to be really careful when you post that. We know that a lot of people have those signs that have their name and their age and maybe what school or teacher or what grade or what have you, but by putting all that information on social media, now strangers could potentially see it. So if you're wanting to share stuff like that, maybe create a private Facebook group where it's just people that and you don't accept random people, or it's just closed so that only those individuals that you want to see those photos can see them. Also, we recommend making sure what's in the background. You don't want your house number. You don't want specific signs where maybe somebody would know exactly where they're at. Obviously, you want to keep your child as safe as possible, and these are things we don't really think about because we're excited it's back to school. They look so cute. The signs are so cute. There's so many crafty moms in the way that they do them. They look so beautiful, but you just want to be so careful about protecting your kids' information. Also, a lot of adults use their kids' information and their passwords. And so that's the other thing is when it comes to your passwords that you use, if you're posting all of this information about your child and you also are using that in some of your passwords, you may not even think about that. But now, again, scammers have more information about you and your child and your family that if they want to try to hack your accounts, they may have other options and ideas as to how they can do that.
That is kind of wild to
Yeah.
think about. Yeah. So less information.
Yes.
You know, there's something very sacred and lovely about being more private. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you can maybe post a picture, just don't have a sign with all the information, and
Yeah,
it's a little bit
exactly.
safer that way.
Yeah, so for families who do want to share the moment, and safely, we just need to minimize all of the private info. Anything else that families should know for the first day of school?
Just be careful shopping online, be careful shopping in person. Always be aware of the tips that we provide for how you can go back to school safely.
All right, very good. Juliana O'Rourke giving us tips and heads up for back to school season from the Better Business Bureau. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll be right back on Live Impact News.